Inclusive congregation, our members walk very diverse paths to find meaning and purpose in their lives. But we're united by our belief in the inherent worth and dignity of all, and by the responsibility to express our faith through acts of justice and compassion and good works, and all those things Pat just talked about a short minute ago. My name is Sandy McFeely, and I've been an active member of this congregation since 2013. Our musician today is Mike Alec, accompanied and fabulously assisted by his full backup orchestra, Eddie Gunn. Our speaker today is our own Pat Jobe. Today he will talk with us about naming names, facing faces, generally focusing us on the power of names, faces, and identity in a world that is confused, in pain, and abounds in things that are hard to deal with. We start our services and other activities by lighting a candle in a chalice and speaking words appropriate to the occasion. Please join me in saying today's chalice lighting words, which are in your order of service. We light this flaming chalice to illuminate the world we seek. In our search for truth, may we find us. In our search for justice, may we be fair and loving. And in loving, may we find peace. And now Reverend Pat will give us opening words.
Our opening words are from two sources. Many of you know about Clarence Jordan, and in Georgia, they pronounce it Jordan. They do not pronounce it Jordan. Isn't that right, Jane? Yeah. And I know many of you will remember that one of Jimmy Carter's staffers was also a Jordan. But Clarence Jordan wrote these words that I think are so appropriate to our time. He also translated the Bible into what he called the Cotton Patch Bible. And he told a lot of the stories that Jesus told from the point of view of people in South Georgia. And he told the story of the Good Samaritan as though the person involved was not going to Jericho, but was going to Athens, Georgia. And a woman called him on the telephone. She said, "Mr. Jordan, is that a true story?" And he said, "Well, no, ma'am, it's a story that illustrates a good principle. And that, in the same way that Jesus told the story in the Bible." She said, "The story Jesus told was a true story." And he said, "No, ma'am, it was a story." He was, "Mr. Jordan, don't be telling me that wasn't a true story." Jordan wrote, "Even though people about us choose the path of hate and violence and warfare and greed and prejudice, we must throw off these poisons and let love permeate and cleanse every tissue and cell. Nor are we to allow ourselves to become easily discouraged when love is not always obviously successful or pleasant. Love never quits." And also from Joseph Campbell, this is not always the best way to do this. "You are more than you think you are. There are dimensions of your being and a potential for realization and consciousness that are not included in your concept of yourself. Your life is much deeper and broader than you conceive it to be here. What you are living is but a fractional inkling of what is really within you and gives you life, breadth, and depth." And I have in these notes to remind you, next Sunday is Share the Plate Sunday. No. I'm sorry, not next Sunday, 2 weeks. That's why we have so much help here. 2 weeks from today is Share the Plate Sunday, and the money will go to the Ministerial Discretion Fund to help folks who are in financial crisis.
Please stay comfortably seated as Mike takes us with his music into this time of calm and reflection.
was listening last night. And Barbara and Jennifer and Martha, you need to know that Mike Alec is here a lot. He's not here every Sunday, but he's here a lot. I love Alan Watts. The former Episcopal priest and Zen teacher was something of a hero to the Beat generation, along with Ram Dass and that crowd. He passed in 1973, just shy of his 59th birthday. But during his last decades, he became a cult phenomenon through radio broadcasts, television, and publications, and is now seen regularly by several 100,000 people on YouTube. He was a cult phenomenon and remains so today because he begs us to name names differently and face faces differently, even as our planet feels whipsawed by the strangest gathering of weird and wearisome government leaders. These are men, for the most part, who believe they have every right to break any law and regulation, regardless of the damage done to our planet or the systems that sustain life on Earth. And they don't mind killing whoever might get in their way. It is in such a time, such a news feed, such clear evidence of lots and lots of heinous madness that we begin to doubt our own safety and entitlement. So far, we here in this room are doing okay. I do have one family in the Forest City congregation who has a Marine in proximity to the Strait of Hormuz, and I would appreciate your holding him in your hearts, along with everybody, every American, every Iranian, even every Israeli soldier, because they're just following orders. Every Palestinian, every Lebanese, hold them in your hearts. What would Alan Watts do? WWAWD. What would he say to us that might or might not give us peace, joy, and freedom in these turbulent, mixed up times? It's not easy. It's not simple. In fact, the last time I went to this place, there was a lot of pushback during the talk back. But let's try it out one more time and see if we can find good here among the fog of war. One of the main problems we face is the lie of separation, the lie of duality, the idea that one side of polar opposites is bad while another side is good. All this leads to more judgment, alienation, harsh attitudes by us toward the bad guys in our world of deadly struggle and pain and suffering. But I can hear some of y'all in your minds at the moment saying, but they are bad guys. They are bad guys. One American, one Russian, one Israeli. There is enough incarnate evil to literally cost thousands, no hundreds of thousands of people their lives, and leave many homes and schools and hospitals in smoking rubble. This is horrific, wretched, and heinous. And yet, listen to me now. I heard a Pentecostal preacher do that one time. I loved it. He was going, he had the veins standing out in his neck, and he just went, "Are you listening to me?" Across the street from this meeting house, families gather in lawn chairs to watch children play baseball. How is this possible? Why aren't they all weeping and wailing and gnashing their teeth? Where is the intersection between smoking rubble and that ballpark across the street? You might argue that the question is absurd, and I would certainly understand if you made that argument. But let's work with the possible approaches that might give us a way forward from our hearts. Can we embrace the possibility that oneness is a baseline in a universe that poet Max Ehrman told us is unfolding exactly as it should? Again, this is so difficult. In his famous poem, Desiderata, Ehrman said, whether or not it is clear to you, the universe is unfolding exactly as it should. Alan Watts did a lot of laughing. He said, life is a game, and when you read the history of geopolitics, it's pretty clear that the worst of world leaders and the best of world leaders are playing games with the lives and fortunes of people. Kurt Vonnegut wrote a satirical play called Happy Birthday, Wanda June, in which one of his characters is speaking from heaven. Maybe in a purely satirical vein, he has the heaven resident say that even soldiers killed in war are not mad at each other anymore. They're in heaven. They may still even fight one another, but they just kind of bounce off each other like big balloons. Nobody's mad. Everybody is just not mad at each other anymore. Most of you know that Kurt Vonnegut was no friend of war. As a survivor of the Dresden firebombing in World War II, he had little good to say about the ravages of war. But the satire of this heaven resident is not unlike Alan Watts and others saying that the whole thing is a game. What if we could name that kind of name for all our troubles and face those kinds of faces for all we are seeing in our TV screens and elsewhere? Could a new point of view, a new name, a new face for all this madness give us some relief? Is it possible? Is it possibly all one seamless field of energy about which we can do little, so we might as well laugh? If not laughing, maybe we could do as much as we can for someone right in front of us. If not laughing, maybe we can do as much as we can for someone right in front of us. Is it possible that Gaza, where almost no one is able to sleep in a home, and that ball field across the street are both part of a seamless universe unfolding exactly as it should? Does that sound completely nuts? Or maybe knowing all this has gone before, the death and smoking rubble in Gaza and that ball field across the street could not be any different because of all that has gone before? Everything that has happened has created everything by cause and effect, and what is now happening and everything that is going to happen will come after that. Does that work for you? Well, it doesn't work for Alan Watts. And I just learned this morning. That's why I'm carrying this book instead of having the quote in my text. He says, you might call this determinism, but you'd be wrong. There is no one being determined. And if you conceive of determinism as the direction of what happens by the past, the idea that the past causes the present and future, you're hallucinating. The present does not come from the past. You can realize this yourself by closing your eyes and listening to the sounds around you. Where do they come from? You hear them coming out of silence. They come and go like echoes in the labyrinth of your mind. Sounds don't come from the past. They come from the present and trail off. You can do this same exercise with your eyes too. For example, you're watching someone on television. Look at their hands. When they move, we think that the movement is caused by the hands that were there before, and so they can therefore move after. We don't see that our memory of the hands is an echo of where they always are being now. They never were, they never will be, they always are now. The motion of the hands is recollected like the wake of a ship. The wake doesn't move the ship, and the past doesn't move the present, unless you insist that it does. And yes, we are charmed and delighted and feel a little mushy when we think about and enjoy that ball field across the street, because it is a vignette far older than any of us, and it is happening about this time of day all over the country and in many foreign countries. But where is the intersection that makes these two emotions come together? Our love of justice for the people in Gaza and our love of baseball for those kids across the street. Where is the intersection? Well, it's right here. It's right here in this room. It's us. We are the intersection. Ours are the hearts and minds who are here and now to each other. We love both justice and little kids playing baseball. Now, I wrote all that before Saturday, May 16th, 8 days ago, when we learned that Pat and Doug Wall had been hit by scammers who found my phone number and convinced them to let go of a lot of their money. It was a gut punch. It was a gut punch for many of us who heard the story. We've changed much of our online information. Thank you, Susan Cameron. Thank you, Karen Abrams, and anybody else who's helped with that. All of a sudden, instead of talking about Gaza and smoke and machine guns and bombs, we're talking about Pat and Doug Wall. Pat and Doug Wall, who are two of the most generous, kind, loving people in this congregation, people who put our auction together with a lot of help from the rest of us and raised $11,000 for this congregation. They got hoodooed. They got scammed. What would Alan Watts do? WWAWD. Here's something strange about all this. When I hear about people dying in combat all around the world, my heart sinks and my chest feels like it's expanding and shrinking together. It's very painful. But then I hear about Pat and Doug getting scammed out of their money, and it hurts the same way. How is that possible? Shouldn't bombs and automatic rifles be a little more serious? You would think so. Bad stuff happens. I have a lot more questions than answers. But let me say this about gut punches. Gaza especially has been a gut punch for me because I read a lot of different news sources. I am absolutely convinced it is the policy of the Israeli government that Gaza ceases to function as a viable home for roughly 2 million Palestinians. There is no policy regarding where they are to live and how they are to function with clean water, food, and viable homes. They have been reduced to a barely survivable level, and 75,000 of them have been killed. Some of these people were killed by private soldiers hired by a Davidson, North Carolina firm called UG Solutions. Their office is about 8 blocks that way. This is a gut punch of great depth and sadness, and the government of the United States provides the Israelis with weapons and money to buy more. But what about the gut punch of Pat and Doug Wall? Why did the two gut punches feel so painful and leave me with a feeling of almost equal helplessness? What would Alan Watts do? I think he would be radically accepting. He would say stuff happens. If you listen to him on YouTube, he says, stuff happens. Life just is what it is. He might also feel a gut punch, but I think beyond it, he would be looking away from the duality of good versus bad. He would be embracing the totality of everything. He would name the gut punch, but he would also name the unity of all events, all the universe. I often hear him say, when I listen to him on YouTube, it happened. It happened. He would face the gut punch, but he might give it another face. He might look up into the starry night, as he often recommends we do, and notice the unity of starlight and our own hearts being moved by that starlight. He would notice the stars are not only beautiful, but they stir something within us by their beauty. When Joni Mitchell sang, "We are stardust, we are golden," she also sang, "We are billion-year-old carbon." When we look into those stars, it might add a layer of joy to remember that we came from those stars. When we look into those stars, we might find the presence of mind to remember that gut punches and the joy and the joy of children playing baseball are part of a single life, a single unified experience of being human. Of course, we grieve and resist, especially when our resistance gives us some hope of justice and change for the better. We just need to be careful of the energy we use when facing hard faces and naming hard names. Okay, Sandy, here we go.
I wish I had a brilliant first comment or a pithy question, but I don't, and I'm hoping one of you does. From the faces I'm seeing, everybody felt Pat's words rather deeply. You're not a superficial kind of speaker, you know.
Thank you. Thank you. Come on, Babs.
Come on.
Use the microphone.
My name is Babs. So I was thinking as you were speaking, what's it all about, Alfie? And I was remembering when I worked on a geriatric psych unit. I had wonderful experiences, walking down the aisle, getting hit on the butt with a newspaper by a woman who said to me, "That's for putting me here." Well, she wasn't even my patient. Then there was a time I tried to assist somebody I put the food tray down, and I realized he did not have his glasses, so I removed the food tray, and I was greeted by a punch in the nose that made me see stars. So it was an unusual environment to work in, and we would often say to each other, "What is going on, and why are these people still here?" And one of the wise nurses, because there's always a wise this way, nurse on a unit, said, "So we may learn compassion." And I think that's a big part of what you said, that we're saying, what should I do? How can I do it? We are upset by something. How do we become more compassionate with someone, somehow, even though our compassion for some perpetrator is difficult?
Thanks, Babs. That's great.
I won't be called Babs, but I'm Barbara anyway. I worked in a psychiatric nursing home for 13 years. I went home every night and cried. We had, one time I was in the tub room when this little guy went. I went to the hospital because I was just so upset. And then another very small woman, very thin, she'd wait till the guys were washing her in the bathroom and she'd go like this. you can imagine what she grabbed. But somehow we got through it, and somehow we took care of all these people, and, I had a lot of compassion for them, but it was a very difficult job. So I know compassion is difficult, but somehow you pull it together and you go to your job every day. I don't think I'd want to repeat the performance, but it certainly made me a different person.
There you go. Thank you. I love you, Eddie.
My cop stories are usually different than anybody else's, and this is one. I brought a patient over to the mental part of the Nassau County Medical Center, which is a well-known building and well-known psych ward. And you go in the Sally Port, it's two doors that close differently. One closes, then you go in and the other closes. Anyway, you empty your gun either in the car, but the guy's there, so I waited until I got to the side, and I put my bullets out, and I put my gun back in the holster. And then I dealt with the paperwork and everything we had to deal with. And I was leaving, and I got to the Sally Port, and I hear from behind one of the doctors saying, "Stop that man, and you there, give that police officer his uniform back."
I'm Jane, and I did not work in a psych ward or take people there, but I was in a newsroom, which is pretty close. And one of the things, one of the things that really bugs me is when people say that the universe is exactly the way it should be, that it's unfolding just the way it ought to be. The whole idea of predestination, determinism. No, I'm sorry, no. I think people make mistakes. People make dumb mistakes. People do evil things. And it's our evolution to try to figure out how to deal with that, how to ameliorate that, how to put more love into the world. And it seems to me that you're less willing to do that if you think, well, this is the way it is. And
Yeah.
yes.
That's why I use the Clarence Jordan quote. So we have to put as much love into it as we can.
Right. And he's great, by the way.
Oh, he is. Yeah. Is he still with us? Yeah. I wrote a book called Falling in Love with Everything, and I did a workshop on it probably 15 years ago. And this woman said, "Am I supposed to love fill in the blank?" And I said, "You are supposed to love your own sense of justice, your own desire to do the best you can to make things right, to love people, and to have a good time doing it." I think the difference is when we become so irritated and so animated around how horrible everything is, we lose agency. I think our agency comes from accepting this is what's going on and this is what I'm going to do about it.
So then it makes a great big difference what we've heard as children and young people. If we listen to people like you, we will know there's a choice for good and compassion and doing what we call the right thing. And if we listen to the wrong people, some regrettably are our parents, we could come up with a perfectly valid, reasonably inherited worldview that lets us go out and shoot the place up. So we're kind of dependent on our advisors, at least our advisors of choice by the time we get to this stage. Is that kind of where we're going?
I hope so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope so. I hate to bring this back up again, but the thing that I put the rock in the bowl for this morning just blows me away. How can I be 72 years old and not have seen this so clearly, that there are plenty of people who go to church and pay no attention to the teachings of Jesus. They're just going through the motions of being there, reading the Bible, saying their prayers, not dipping snuff, and the teachings of Jesus about feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, making peace, working for justice, all of that is just spiritualized. That doesn't apply to us. We don't have to do that. I came to church last Sunday, preacher. Don't ask me to do any more. And you know people like that, Jim Price. Yeah.
Thank you, Pat, and thank you for talking about the web of life and the interconnectedness of all of us and everything else. Ram Dass used to say, do what you do with another person, just never put them out of your heart. And that has become a deeper and deeper and deeper teaching over many years from when I first heard it. And I just feel like the only thing we can really do right now is put as much love out into this world as we possibly can, because people are starving for it. And to me, thinking about that statement about never putting someone out of my heart and seeing each person as a part of me, a part of the whole, that helps me. Even if it only gets me to pity some people, that still feels better than want to kill them.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's me again. I don't believe in God. I'm an atheist. But you know what? My religion is love and doing good works for people, animals, and the environment. That's what I totally believe in. Heck with God.
That is
I'll take this one, it's closer. Good call. There's one thing that Watts said and that Pat reminded us of that I have never been able to agree with, and that is that, in his words, the present is not at all based upon anything that's happened in the past, and I cannot agree with that at all. Take a small example. Look at the effects that the United States alone is still dealing with because of the slavery issues that happened in the past.
Oh, yeah.
Look at the horrible environmental effects that we are dealing with because of lack of regulation and stripping the planet for all those years. Look at the animal rights situations that we're dealing with, because for decades and centuries, animals weren't anything to think about. Do whatever you want. And that's just one piece of the reason I can't agree with that. I think that what's happening around us is influenced by what happened in the past. And I think the example that Watt gave and that Pat gave about somebody on TV waves their hand, in that regard, I think he's getting into more about what Schwangsa would debate. You know, is this tree standing out here really as big as it thinks it is? Is this fish here in this creek going by? He feels like he's useless because he's not as big as the tree. I mean, these are kind of Zen-like questions, but to me,
Intended to drive us all crazy.
intended to drive us all insane. One of the funniest, it was not meant to be funny, but it was meant to be funny by the person who said it. But I took a class my freshman year in college, and it was more of a class join in kind of thing, and it was on Eastern mysticism versus Western logic. Now, most of us in the class are freshmen in college. What in the free known lands do we know about logic or mysticism?
not a whole lot. Well, there's one story that is told about Schwangza. And he was talking to his disciples, his students, and he told a story of how one student asked his teacher, "What is the meaning of all that we see around us?" And the teacher took off one of his sandals, put it on his head, blew a note on his flute, and walked out. And so the question then of our professor to us freshmen and a few sophomores was, so what did the teacher mean? And we all looked around like, well, I'm going to fail this thing in the first 2 weeks. And okay, well, let's get a truck packed for Asheville. We're heading on out. But one of my friends who I'd gone to high school with, thinking a little quicker than some of us, spoke up and said, "There's no way anyone will ever know." And the teacher said, "Why do you say that?" And he said, "Because we don't know the note that he played on the flute." And that to me is along the lines of how do we know that this hand doesn't affect what goes on in the future? So that's my story to say that's the big part. And I read his works, but that was the piece that I just, I can't agree with. I do think that the present in so many ways is affected by what has happened in the past, for good or ill.
Great, thank you. Same thing happened last time I tried to talk about this stuff. But I do want to point out, since Lynn mentioned cruelty to animals, the Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals was founded by a Unitarian.
Well, okay. I think we're now ready to see how Mike Allett is going to pull all this together and make it coherent.
Even he doesn't know.
Well, that's a regular event.
This one's a D.
Louder.
Nobody ever told the guitar player to turn up.
Oh, a little bit here, a little bit there, you may never know if it'll lie, if it'll fly somewhere on this road. Maybe today, maybe tonight, maybe you let it go. Over the world, straight to the heart, somewhere on this road. Oh, everyone here, everyone there, looking at stars above, looking for light, looking for love, somewhere on this road. Maybe today, maybe tonight, maybe you let it show. Straight to the heart, over the world, somewhere on this road. We can rain a link in the chain, oh, let your arrow go. Over the world, straight to the heart, somewhere on this road. Maybe today, maybe tonight, maybe you let it go. Over the world, straight to the heart, somewhere on this road. Wheels gonna spin, the chips gonna fall, the waters will overflow. Rivers of light, rivers of love, somewhere on this road. Maybe today, maybe tonight, maybe you let it go. Over the world, straight to the heart, somewhere on this road.
Did it again. Thank you. This fellowship is important to all of us. The contributions we make today allow us to sustain and grow our congregation and to reach out to our community both nearby and in the larger world. Your giving affirms our commitment to each other and to our community. And if the people watching at home would like to feel at one with us, just tune for just a second to our website and hit the donate button.
Dig it in the guy's wallet. Okay, bring it out.
We'll come back to you, Jeff.
Yes, you let it pass.
Yeah, let it pass on. Don't worry. Yeah,
There's a check in here.
There we go. Keep coming. You're supposed to be playing this.
Turn the kids back.
Whoop. A battery substitution time has arrived.
Was that, is it there? The other one works.
With grateful hearts, we receive these gifts. May they encourage us to live lives of integrity, compassion, and peace. We're also grateful to all the people whose efforts make our services possible. We're grateful for the work of our board, to our practical works of service to help all humans, animals, and the earth. We really appreciate everybody who is sitting in person here today and everybody who is watching us from home. Please take a look with me at the announcements in your order of service. The first, and of not only great but immediate importance, is where is our social supper tonight?
Crafty burger.
Crafty Burger, okey doke. Movie Tuesdays. Oh, you have a choice on Tuesday.
That's confusing because some people wanted to see some movies and some people, the main movie is going to be The Mandalorian, which is a Star Wars movie. I thought some people might not want to see that, so I gave them the options of the other two that were really good movies, and we all needed bricks afterwards. Nice they all are at the same time.
And the other two are The Sheep Detectives and The Devil Wears Prada. And they all start and end at approximately the same time. So what you won't miss out on, no matter what movie you choose, is going across the street and ordering something to eat and drink.
Yeah,
And-
those that get out earlier, we'll meet you over there.
And whoever arrives last will pick up the check, right? Okay, we have a non-announcement from the Heart of the Carolinas UU Animal Ministry. It rained last week, so Saturday's build was canceled. It's going to rain the whole next week, and there's already a build scheduled for next Saturday. So call Claudia toward the end of the week, look at the Facebook page, the website. All will be revealed in the fullness of time, but it won't be today. Did I miss anything important? Great, cool.
Usually, the weatherman is wrong, and that's the only job you can have. Be wrong and still get a paycheck. Who knows what's gonna happen?
Good.
Think of a couple of
That comes to mind first of all. You're right.
Our next FeedNC event is June 11th from 10:30 to 2:30. Volunteers are definitely needed. They're always definitely needed, but in any event, contact Jim Arnold if you're interested in helping out. The Friday Action Hour at 11 a.m. will occur this Friday at 11 a.m., as it always does, and has for, 318 consecutive weeks. They're a pretty reliable crowd. Next Sunday could be certainly different and kind of interesting. There'll be chanting of Kirtan with Jason Hart and our guest speaker, and who will be our guest speaker. One of our, I think she's a member, Victoria Eves, has been going to hear the chanting, and Olivia Street has too, for many months. And this is a very interesting group and well worth coming to hear. Our next Share the Plate will be in 2 weeks, June 7th, and the collections for the ministers, our ministers' discretionary fund. He doesn't go wild and, buy silly neckties. Well, he doesn't wear silly neckties, so why would he buy them? But he does good works carefully and cautiously and always. Are there any announcements I should have made but didn't?
Under announcements at the bottom, back page.
Uh-huh.
Grievance meeting coming up in 2 weeks.
Yep. Right. The quarterly humanist meeting will come in 2 weeks in this very room. Will there be a little reception or anything out in the lobby for people who come early and may have a long journey and would like a little refreshment? Get in touch with Jeff Blum, whose email is in the order of service and probably on the website and 30 other places, if you have any questions at all. Thank you, Jeff. Okay, and now we are ready for the closing song. It's number 1007. There's a river flowing in my soul. Please stand as you're willing and able.
There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my heart. I'm gonna tell it to you that it's somebody. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing in my mind. It's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my mind. Take one, Eddie. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul.
May be seated. Our closing words come from Joni Mitchell. We are stardust. We are golden. We are billion-year-old carbon, and we've got to get ourselves back to the garden. And from another world-class singer-songwriter, Mary Chapin Carpenter, in this world you've a soul for a compass and a heart for a pair of wings. There's a star on the far horizon, rising bright in the azure sky. For the rest of the time you're given, why walk when you can fly?
We close our services by extinguishing the chalice. Please say with me the words in your order of service as I extinguish it. It has miraculous chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, fire. These we carry in our hearts till we meet again. And another you miracle has occurred. The chalice relit. I think it was during the collection.
Well done.